In the heart of the darkness, every spark reveals a story you never wanted to hear. It was a warm summer night when Vanessa and her friends decided to visit the local fair. The air was filled with the sounds of carnival games, cotton candy machines, and children laughing. The fair was a yearly tradition, but this time something about it felt different. As they walked through the maze of tents, they noticed one that stood out, a circus tent with a sign simply reading, "The Haunted Clown Show." Intrigued, Vanessa and her friends decided to check it out. Inside, the tent was dimly lit, the smell of popcorn and stale air hanging in the atmosphere. The stage was adorned with old circus props, and at the center stood a single clown, motionless. His face was painted a deep crimson, with dark black eyes that seemed to absorb all the light. He wore an oversized, tattered costume, and his hands were covered in white gloves that looked stained with something dark. At first, the clown remained silent. The room was eerily quiet, and the air was thick with tension. Vanessa and her friends shifted uncomfortably, but finally the clown spoke in a low, grating voice. "I'm here to make you smile. Forever." Suddenly, he lunged at them, moving so fast that they barely had time to react. He grabbed Vanessa's wrist with an iron grip, his fingers cold as ice. His face was now inches from hers, the painted smile stretching unnaturally wide. "You won't leave until I'm done with you," he hissed. Panic set in as they tried to break free. The others pushed the clown away, but it felt as if he was everywhere, his shadow looming over them no matter where they ran. The whole room began to shake, and the dim lights flickered, casting horrifying shadows across the walls. Eventually, they managed to escape, running out of the tent into the bright fairgrounds, gasping for air. They looked around, but the clown was nowhere to be found. However, as they caught their breath, they noticed a small note pinned to a nearby booth. It read, "You'll be back, and I'll be waiting." From that day on, Vanessa and her friends couldn't shake the feeling that the clown was always watching, lurking just out of sight. Every year when the fair came back to town, they would hear whispers in the night, reminding them that the clown would always be there, waiting to finish what he had started. Like and subscribe now. Are you brave enough to join the hunt? Ethan had recently moved into an old house on the outskirts of town. It wasn't the most modern or glamorous place, but it had character, and he loved the idea of living in a quiet neighborhood, away from the hustle and bustle of the city. One rainy afternoon, as he was exploring the house, he noticed something strange in the basement. Behind a pile of old furniture, he discovered an old, dusty chest. It was covered in cobwebs, but the lock looked like it had been recently broken. Intrigued, Ethan opened it. Inside, there was a collection of old circus costumes and clown paraphernalia. There was a yellowed, torn clown suit with red polka dots, a tattered wig, and a pair of oversized shoes that seemed too large for anyone to wear. But what caught his attention the most was a worn porcelain mask lying at the bottom of the chest. It was pale white, with a bright red smile and hollow black eyes. Against his better judgment, Ethan picked up the mask. As soon as his fingers touched it, a cold chill ran down his spine. He felt an odd sensation in his chest, as if the mask was calling out to him. Despite the unsettling feeling, he placed the mask on his face. The moment the mask touched his skin, everything around him seemed to change. The room felt colder, darker, and Ethan could hear faint whispers coming from the shadows. He tried to pull the mask off, but it wouldn't budge. It was as if it was stuck to his face, holding him in place. Suddenly, he heard footsteps behind him. Turning around, he saw a figure standing in the corner of the room. It was a clown, tall with long stringy hair and a twisted smile that stretched unnaturally across his face. The clown's eyes were black voids, and its grin seemed to grow wider with every passing second. The clown moved closer, its laughter echoing through the basement, sending chills through Ethan's body. He backed away in terror, but the clown's movements were slow and deliberate, as though it was savoring every moment. "You shouldn't have put it on." The clown's voice was deep and hollow. "Now you're mine." Ethan's heart raced as he tried to scream, but his voice was lost. The basement door slammed shut, trapping him inside with the clown. Every time he tried to escape, the walls seemed to close in tighter, suffocating him. The clown's laughter grew louder, filling every corner of the basement. Hours later, when Ethan's neighbors finally came to check on him after hearing his screams, they found the house empty. The basement was locked from the inside, and when they managed to break through, they found no trace of Ethan, only the clown mask still sitting on the floor with a note attached. Another one claimed, "To this day, Ethan's house remains abandoned, but locals say that if you pass by late at night, you can hear the sound of laughter coming from the basement. And sometimes, a shadowy figure with a twisted grin standing in the window."